As a linguist and data science, I'm always curious about how the machine may learn or can learn human language, and how can we, cognitive linguists, can contribute to build better algorithms and coders. With my basic computer programming skill and linguistic background, on purpose, I have been focusing on some problems Google search engine has. Hopefully it will be helpful for you programmers to build much effective code that understands human feelings, human sense, human perception, and human cognition. We know that there are millions of words typed in Google search engine in daily life and millions of images uploaded every day. The question interests me is, can Google build narrative story by basing on the images uploaded by human being, or vice versa? Can Google find appropriate images according to the narrative of human being? In an image, we, people, take humanist profit as priority. We try to maximize the advantages which help our survival issue and try to minimize which can be obstacle to deal with survival issue. What I mean here is the machines see the world through human eyes. Human is the most important and active consumer in most of the contexts built by a human. An image may include both figure and background. When the speaker or narrative teller says there is fish in the sea, then there must be both fish and sea in one picture. But fish is priority, so it's active figure in the image we expect, and sea is background. There are a range of figures and background in most of the pictures those are uploaded to internet. In this case, active figure is taken as priority words within a range of pictures. But it must not be confused with active agent or passive agent, or active voice or passive voice. When I tell about active agent, I mean the priority meaning the narrative teller or storyteller talking about. The narrative teller is a person who ate fish in this context. Fish is passive agent in terms of consumption context, but active figure, or in other words, this priority object, priority figure that must be displayed in the image we expect when we search via search engine. There are a range of figures and background in most of the pictures those are uploaded to internet. In this case, active figure is taken as priority words within a range of pictures. But it must not be confused with active agent or passive agent, or active voice or passive voice. When I tell about active agent, I mean the priority meaning the narrative teller or storyteller talking about. The narrative teller is a person who ate fish in this context. Fish is passive agent in terms of consumption context, but active figure, or in other words, this priority object, priority figure that must be displayed in the image we expect when we search via search engine. We talked about that image include figure and background. These figures and background can be active and passive. For example, let's take first example. I saw fish in the sea. I is passive figure, but fish is active figure. And the sea, which is background, is also passive figure. Why? Let me explain it. When we talk like I saw fish in the sea, the listener imagines or visualizes fish first, or fish in the sea first. Or when we search image related to the scenario of I saw fish in the sea, we want a picture displays fish first, and then next sea and person. Let's analyze the second example. I showed fish in the sea to my sister. I is passive figure here. Fish is active figure. The sea is first background. And to my sister is passive figure and second background. Sister is passive figure and background. Why passive? Why I and my sister are passive here? Because by whom the fish will be consumed is not labeled yet. Fish is still active figure. Let's see the third example. I cooked fish sitting on the sand. Well, again, I is passive figure. Cooked fish, fish is here active figure. Sitting on the sand, or the sand is background, passive figure. Why? Because by whom the fish will be consumed is not clear yet. Let's see the fourth example. I ate fish sitting on the sea. Here I is active figure. Fish is also active figure. There is two active figures. And the sand is background, it's passive figure. Well, why I is active here? Because by whom the fish was consumed is already clear. So I consumed the fish. Well, let's compare it with the second example. And the second example, I showed fish in the sea to my sister. The fourth is I ate fish sitting on the sand. In the second example, I showed fish in the sea to my sister. I is passive figure. In the fourth example, I is active figure. I ate fish. Why? Because when we talk about our story like this, so the listener imagines, for example, when we talk our story like I showed fish to my sister, so the listener visualizes fish. Or when we show fish while telling our narrative, so there is no problem to the listener. The listener may imagine it very easily. But when I show the picture of my sister or the picture of one girl, female person, to the listener, when I talk, I showed fish in the sea to my sister, so then it doesn't match to the context because the listener focuses on the fish. First, what did you show is important, then to whom you showed it. Well, in the fourth example, I ate fish sitting on the sand. I is active figure. Fish is active figure as well. In this case, if there is more than one active figure, one figure can be provided while we are talking about our story, talking about our narrative. For example, when I show the picture of fish and I say, I ate fish sitting on the sand, so the listener can imagine. So it matches to the content. Or if I show myself, I, and the fish, it also matches with the context. Or if I show the process of eating fish by me or by person, it also matches to the context. Both of them are active figures. That's why I call active figure and passive figure in terms of consumption context. Here, both of them are active figures. And the sand is background, passive figure. So in the image, it's not necessary to provide this passive figure, the sand. If it's provided, it's okay. If it's not provided, again, it's okay. When we search images through Google, we want exact figure with exact background. When I talk about background, I'm not talking about landscape, but anything which is secondary priority, which is different than infinite number of items around us. When we search images via search engine, we want specific structure of the object displayed in the image and specific texture, whether it's liquid, whether it's frozen, or how the condition of the structure changed and by whom, like is the frozen ice cracked by a human or dog, or Is the frozen water melted by independent variable like sun? Here we personify sun like as if sun didn't cause to melt it, but sun is a person which melts frozen water. Hopefully you liked this video. Thanks for watching. Please let me know about your opinion, leaving comments below. And please let me know if you want to contribute to Computer Cognition Academy. Thanks for watching.